Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. What's going on, brother?
Very well. I've not eaten yet today. What time is it?
Neither have I.
4:37. So I'm gonna do a 24-hour fast or 22-hour fast. I had some bone broth, which was being homemade by Amelia, which is nice.
You don't include that in your fasting? You don't?
No, because it's more so about the fat loss, really. So that's not going to spike insulin, is it? So that'll be okay. And also, I don't know if it'd actually break. I guess it would, in theory, break the fast in terms of the digestion. But I think you'd still be able to get the benefits for longevity, though, of a 3-day fast if you had some bone broth. I don't think that I'd reverse those, but I'd have to check. So, yeah, I'm doing well. I'm eating a bit too much meat lately, is what I'm realizing. Do you know what it is? The more connected I get, Doug, like when I say connected, the more in flow I am. Typically, me being in flow coincides with me being a lot more grounded and more connected spiritually, if you will, right? I'm more inspired, I'm more grounded, the whole drill. And by default, when I'm in that space, I often then tend to have a very different appreciation for animals and just for life, all living things in general, insects, spiders, whatever.
Plants?
So, what's that?
Plants?
Plants? Certain types of plants, yes. So, yeah, it's interesting. I've been eating a lot of meat lately, and I've also just been feeling, it just doesn't feel that good. I'm cooking it and I'm looking at it. And, the meat's great in theory. I mean, it's all grass-fed, organic, free roaming, all that kind of stuff. But when I'm cooking it, I'm still just a bit like, oh, my God, this is starting to not feel too good. So I was speaking to Amelia about it yesterday. I don't want to cut meat out because I don't believe in being – when I didn't used to eat a great deal of meat, I'd eat a lot of fish. I also don't want to be – I get to find a balance. So that's been on my mind a little bit the past 24 hours figuring that out. But yeah, I'm
Like
well.
Arthur, one of our head coaches, is almost completely carnivore at this point, or he switched a little bit over.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting. There's so many different ways and philosophies for nutrition. I swear nutrition is more debated than religion. It is nuts. Veganism, vegetarianism, carnivorism, paleo, you name it, it's out there.
Do you know what's even more important than physical health and nutrition? Emotional health.
Oh, I'm totally with you.
I can remember reading, there's a great book called Dying to Be Me by a woman called Anita Moorjani. I love that book. Anyway, her whole story in the beginning is all about her ticking all the boxes, doing all the right things, going to the chiropractor, to the Reiki person, rushing from gym session to appointment, eating clean, and, on paper looked super healthy. But, lived with this constant worry and anxiety and fear and dread. Eventually she got ill because emotionally she just wasn't in a great place. So I'm very conscious of that as well when, not that, but emotional health, so you don't need to get too lost in nutrition, if you will. So, but yeah, it is, it's like a wormhole.
It is. Been studying it for almost 20 years now, or looking at it anyway, peripherally on and off. It's crazy, but that's not what we're here to talk about, Mr. Matthews. Today I want to talk about date day. We hear a lot about date night, especially when it talks about, through the powerful man, or a lot of things that talk about relationships. They talk about, you need to date your wife, you need a date night, you need a date night. But what about date day? Why don't people talk about actually exploring things with your wife during the day? Any ideas?
Maybe too consumed by work.
Too consumed by work and too fixed into the box of their own reality, right? So my theory is oftentimes we just accept things to be true, right? Someone says, oh, date night. Okay, we got to go out at night. Therefore, what does that mean? Okay, we got to go get cocktails. We got to go do dinner, maybe a movie, get the babysitter, get home, have some sex, right? And that's the formula. Well, that becomes very formulaic, right? That's not sexy. That's not spontaneous. It's date night. It's what everybody else is doing. Now, if you're not doing date night, well, then it's going to be interesting, right? The first few times you do it, because it's going to be different. However, right, again, we talked about this, but today, I'm taking my wife out for the day, right? You and I have the ability to have freedom over our schedules. We create that into our lifestyles. And as business owners, if you don't have that ability to carve out time in your day when you want to, right, within reason, then you don't own your business owns you. And we know that. So same thing with your wife. Have you taken your wife out during the day? My wife and I love hiking. We love outdoor activities. We love spending time together, right? So we've actually carved out time today to do a date day. We have someone coming in, take care of the kids. Someone came in the other day, cleaned the house. So there's no stress or worries on my wife. Now, I think this is really important, guys. And the reason this is so important, and it's important for you, is if you're going through a date day, and it's a little different than a date night, because you're probably pre-programmed to work during the day, right? That's your mental state. It's daytime. I should be working. I should be doing this, that, and the other. What if people need me? My ego, right? So you want to set yourself up for success, but especially for your wife, right? And you don't want her focused on the kids. You don't want her focused on the house, or maybe it's her job. I'm not sure, right? So you want to set things up. You want to line them up. I recommend, what I did is I had house cleaners come in, right? Come in, clean the house, which is fantastic. I love it too. But now that's one thing off my wife's plate. Now she can be in free spirit, right? We have a babysitter coming in to watch our kids, right? Then there's the worry, okay, well, what if there's a problem? What we did is we called our neighbor and said, will you be around? If there's an emergency, can we give the babysitter your number as well as ours? And so now we have somebody right next door who we know, like, and trust, who can step in. And so we can take a little bit further time, right? That allows us to be away from our phones a little bit more, allows my wife to be more in her femininity, right? And that feminine spirit going through it. And then you want to plan something out. Have a couple backup plans. We're doing this during COVID, so it's going to be a little different. But we have some plans. We're going to go get a coffee, walk along the river together. It's beautiful here in Bend, Oregon. It's like wild meets industrial, so to speak, because we can get out into the wild pretty quickly and going through it. And I also have planned topics of conversation, right? When this sounds really planned, but at the same time, I want to stimulate things that I know my wife's interested in, but I also want to find out things I don't know about her. Right? Now, I've been married almost 10 years, Tim, so I know quite a bit about my wife. However, some of those things that I know about her might be things of 4 years ago, right? Versions of her that are in my head, the stories that I have of her. So I can get into that later, my theories on this. But the point here, guys, is take all the worries, all the possible roadblocks to your wife being completely stress-free, anxiety-free, and really allow her to explore her femininity, right? Allow her to be grounded, but allow her to express this feminine flow and spirit, and make it easy for her, right? Tell her what to wear. You can lay clothes out, but tell her what to wear. Give her a couple things of ideas of what you might be doing, but have some spontaneity in there, right? I'm not going to tell you where we're going, but I want you to dress this way, right? Take the lead as the man. And this is a day date, right? So there's all kinds of things you can do during the day that you probably can't do during the nighttime. So take advantage of those. And as business leaders, if you can do this during the week, that opens up a whole slew of other opportunities you can do where you're not going to have to worry about crowds and things of that nature, right? There's all kinds of opportunities. So Tim, do you have any experience with date day?
Mm-hmm. It's one of the best dates Mila and I ever had.
Yeah. Tell us about it.
So she loves the ballet. So what I did was organized for us to go and watch. There was a ballet performance that was happening. So you could go during the day and actually watch them practice for the evening, which was really cool. It was kind of like behind the scenes, 10 people there, us two being two of them. and watched the ballet people getting, I don't know if you call them that, but ballet people getting,
Ballerinas.
there's guys as well though, right? Getting taken through their process and their warm. It was really, really cool. And she was just like mesmerized, sat there watching it. So then after that, we went to play dodgeball. It's like a trampoline park kind
Uh-huh.
of, and there's like basketball nets and all sorts. So it's not specifically dodgeball, let's say, but we ended up just playing dodgeball with one another on the trampolines, and it was just, oh god, those moments when you belly laugh and you can't laugh hard enough. Yeah, it was just so much fun, so much fun. And then went for lunch, and then I ended up doing some work, I think, in the afternoon. She went off to do her thing. It was great because also there was no expectation on her or from her that this had to lead to sex, right? Because it can obviously lead to sex, even though it's during the day. It doesn't mean that sex is forbidden. But point being is, it was very much, we were doing this out of pure joy and love for wanting to be with one another, not so I could then get lit, right?
Yep.
Which I think for her really invite her more into her femininity during that time as well.
Oh yeah.
Which obviously then led to, better, more passionate sex. So, yeah, it was great. It was great. I really, really enjoyed it. And I bet if you asked Amelia, I bet she'd remember it.
Oh, I guarantee she would. And I think you said something really important right there is, in a date day, so to speak, but date nights are almost formulaic for most people. Not everybody. I know that you listening to this right now, you're different, but everybody else, it's formulaic, right? You go out, you can do dinner, you try to get home, have sex, et cetera, or you do it, et cetera. So by doing it during the day, and what you did is there's no expectation of sex. So therefore, she's allowed to be freer, which in a lot of ways, when you read about intimacy, especially with women, this gives her more freedom. So when she's ready to have sex, she's going to desire you more. And that leads to a more freakish, typically in the bedroom situation, which a lot of guys are looking for. Right. And so, by doing the date, and planning it out and having the things as you did, the ballet, because she loved it and she knew, right, that was probably not your first choice. Dodgeball might have been, and it allowed you both to have some.
I got super competitive.
No.
It's so funny. It was so funny.
That'll be a fun team breakout when we do a Powerful Man team meeting. Is a dodgeball match going, but again, that's a playful energy. Right. And you and Amelia share that. And a lot of couples do. Right. And reigniting that playful energy that can get lost so easily. Day dates really lend themselves to that playful energy, that playful spirit, that the freedom that comes about when you're able to be yourself and let go. There's something about the day that allows you to go for that and go for lunch. Right. You sit outside, watch people walk by. It's just a different energy all to itself. So it's really interesting to actually have that feeling and then look at it from a perspective of not only as you as the husband, the provider, and all the things we think of ourselves, but what about you as the young man, right? Reigniting that passion and doing it with the person that you've committed your life to or your partner, depending on what your situation is.
And what I love about it as well in reflection is that it didn't involve any alcohol. Her and I are not big drinkers anyway, but an evening dinner date could easily just, I'll have a beer or two, or because that's, like you say, formulaic, the done thing. So it was great because it was way more in alignment with our health goals and how we like to live and eat and stuff. So it just could be a lot more like one of the requirements for me, at least when I'm in relationships with people, is to be able to have clean fun with them, right? Fun that doesn't involve or doesn't rely on alcohol or being drunk or anything like that. So again, to be able to have that with Amelia, it was great because obviously alcohol can easily mask things, can't it? So take that away, what's left in the conversation? What's left in the depth of the connection there? So it was great. Yeah, really. I think day dates. We actually had one yesterday, although it was a birthday. But yeah, we
Yeah.
had one yesterday. It was great. We loved it.
Well, I think you bring up a really important point for a lot of the men regarding alcohol, right? So we have, several guys that are going through a hard time in their relationship listening to this right now. And a lot of times they'll go out, take their wife to dinner. That's what they're doing. They're planning. Everything's going great. They have a couple drinks and things start to slip. Arguments start to happen.
Hmm.
Alcohol can really trigger things, allow inhibitions to go, of course, but it can also trigger things. If you're stressed, it can make you more stressed, anxious, make you say things you don't want to say, snap. It can change the spirit of the conversation, the spirit of what's going on. And for a lot of guys, let's just be honest, it's hard for them not to drink when they're out, not to order that bottle of wine at dinner or have that martini or glass of whiskey or whatever it is. But days, some guys do it during the day, of course, but a day date lends itself to being able to skip that if you want to. Now, for some of you guys, you might go to a winery. That might be your day date, and that's cool. But my wife and I used to do that all the time when we were in Santa Barbara, California, because it was beautiful wineries everywhere, and it worked out really well. So we're not saying you don't have to do it, but this also, if you know that you have a pattern of going out with your spouse, having some drinks and ending in arguments, try something different.
Mm.
Try it during the day. Flip the script. It's a great opportunity to do so.
Mm. Yeah, it really is. It really is. It's a great idea.
Yeah. So, guys, what I'm going to recommend you do here, or one of the things to think about, is when is the last time you took your partner, the woman of your dreams, the woman you want to be with? When's the last time you took her out on a day date during the week? Not the weekend. The weekend's great too. Don't get me wrong. But when is the last time you took her out during the week? And if it's been a while, it's time to change that. Grab your calendar right now, schedule some time. If you're able to fit in business calls during the week, you're able to fit this in. It doesn't have to be a lot. It could be a couple hours, maybe 1 hour. But I'd recommend at least 3 hours here. Longer if you can, but 3 hours seems to be enough. Schedule that in your calendar right now. Do not disturb time. And then prep. Work backwards. What gets to be done? What concerns could my wife have? Is the house clean? Right? We talked about women have that diffused focus. The house needs to be clean, right? Are the kids taken care of? Is food prep for the next day? You can take care of all of this off her plate. And the best thing, men, is you can do all of this with somebody else's help. Get a house cleaner, get a maid, get somebody else to prep the food or pre-buy the food, right, to come in. You can do all of this without much work on your part, which is really nice. And yes, Mr. Matthews.
Just hold that thought. Didn't we end a podcast last week with me saying, surely it makes sense to have a house manager and people coming in and you're like, no, 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 no. And I just seeing,
No.
yeah.
Your thought was having a full-time nanny live in your house to take care of
Yeah.
everything.
Well, there's degrees to that, right?
Well,
Not to take care of everything.
You wanted to wake up in the morning, roll over, have her take care of your kids before you got
Care
out
of
of
me,
bed.
dress me, wash
Very,
me.
very different, my friend. Very different.
She's also
I actually like getting my kids up out of bed.
yeah.
Anyway,
Anyways.
you're digressing and wrong.
Yeah.
So we come to this, guys. What we want to do is really look at this day date, right? What do you really want to do, right? What's the outcome you want to achieve? And then let it go. I know it's going to be hard for some of you, but let it go. What is the intent? So I'm going to go into this day date with the intent of having fun and being light. And what I mean by being light is stress-free, rolling with the punches, being water, not checking my phone, the things that I would typically do during the day, because I take a lot of day dates to myself, but don't do them, right? And then I prepped. I have everything prepped. Work is prepped. Everything's done. She doesn't have to worry about anything. We went as far as just to even contact a neighbor who we trust and said, hey, look, if there's a problem with the kids, let's let our babysitter call you. Not that we're not going to come back home. We're going to race home as well. But now my wife doesn't have to think, okay, I'm 15 minutes away from the car. It's 10 minutes to get there. Doug drives really fast, so we can probably do it in 5. She's going to calculate that stuff, right, guys? She's doing it. Whether you know it or not, she's doing that every time. And if I can remove that, she knows that our neighbor can be here in 30 seconds while we're coming in. That's one less stressor. Boom, I've removed another layer. And so that's a really good way. I've also got backup plans, backup conversations, so I can dive deeper into her world and allow her into mine, right? That's intimacy beyond the physical aspects. So guys, I'm going to encourage you to write that down your calendar and book it and let us know. I'd love to know what you're doing for your date day. I'd love to steal some of your moves. So go over to the Facebook group for The Powerful Man and let me know. Give a brother some help here, because I can always use some date day tips. And let us know what you're doing for date day. That'd be really fascinating. And of course, if your relationship's not there, I'm going to tell you now because we'll probably have it up for another week. Go over to thepowerfulman.com/bonus and get the Reignite cheat sheet. It is still up as we're recording this podcast. And I just say that because we switched them around. If you want a free copy of the Reignite cheat sheet, go get it now so you can have that. That's thepowerfulman.com/bonus. And just pick it up and apply those and reap the rewards that many of the other men are reaping as well. All right, guys, that's it. It's a wrap for us today. Have an amazing day, and we'll see you next time on The Powerful Man Show.